Welcome back here to New York City. We're here in the WCS qualifiers for the North American division. We're in the match Demuslim versus Oz. I'm here with John Total Biscuit Bane. We're looking at Game 3. It's tied up 1-1. How excited are you for this Game 3?
If this is anything like the combination of Game 1 and Game 2, it'll be great, honestly. The thing is that what we saw from Demuslim in Game 2 was one-sided as hell, and then in Game 1, it was the exact opposite of that. Oz just rolled over Demuslim. What I want to see is those two games mashed together, stirred in, put a little bit of barbecue sauce in there, give it a little bit of spice, and then you get a great Game 3. So we'll see if these guys can come up with that, and this man will be the one to provide. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Terran. To the northeast, it is Evil Genius's Demuslim versus his opponent. He took his teammate out quite easily in Game 1, but struggled greatly in Game 2 against excellent timings and attacks. It is in the red trunks, playing Protoss to the southwest. It's the southwest. Wow, okay, that's a new one. Evil Genius's Oz.
That Widowmine Marine drop really worked wonders in that last game. You know, I feel like Oz's Photon Overcharge was a little bit late. If he had a Mothership Core, you know, maybe if he could have gone that off into main as the drop was coming in, he might have been able to fend it off a little bit better. But, you know, he was really worried about the frontal assault and thought the Stalker and 2 sentries could handle things back home, but they couldn't quite cut it.
That timing, that particular drop, which I'm seeing so much now in pro-level play in Terran versus Protoss, is just really hard to stop effectively. And it almost seems like there's a little bit of luck involved, depending on where your probes happen to be at that particular moment. It's even a case of, if they were unlucky enough to be clumped slightly because of pathing, you lose twice as many as what you otherwise would have. You need to have awareness of it, you need to know that it's coming, and then you can deal with it. But when it comes in that fast, and when it's spotted that late, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're going to take some damage from it, and especially since Demuslim actually got out with a Widowmine, redeployed it, used the Marines on the natural as well, then it was just awesome. And I don't call Photon Overcharge as a particularly good way to defend against a full Marine drop, because it's like Zerg, right? Roach, in fact, it does the exact same damage, so it's very much like Zerg. It's like Zerg with Roaches versus Marine and Medivac. Sounds great in theory until you realize they attack so slowly in these big damage clumps that Marines survive way longer than they're supposed to.
Yeah, it really, you know, it's a single target damage. It takes several hits to kill a Marine. With that Medivac they're healing,
exactly.
I think a lot of people are surprised that 4 Marines without stim are actually still something that you need something else besides that Photon Overcharge, and we saw that last game. You know, he did that drop in a natural after he went to the main, and he still got like 2 or 3 Marines. Oz even had to pull the Marines, even though that Photon Overcharge was up.
Yeah, and you think, oh, it's a Photon Overcharge, it does 20 damage, so I'm going to be killing a Marine in 3 hits, right? No, you're not. It's going to take more like 4 or 5, and that's simply because of that Medivac actually healing in the interim, and those shots just not being very quick. So it's not as effective as it seems. I've seen some Protoss players actually deliberately try and target down the Medivac instead, because they feel it's just a little bit more valuable than trying to shoot at the Marines first. But one way or the other, Demuslim executed that drop in an expert fashion, and he was rewarded appropriately for it. And then after that, his follow-up was just superb. We're seeing the same kind of thing from Demuslim this time around. He gets out with that Reaper, and we know how much of a menace that can be later on in the game. He did actually. He killed 2 workers, so that in itself is an absolute win for that Reaper, and it stays alive, and he's going to be able to scout with it. And now we're going to see Command Center down, and there's the factory here from Demuslim as well.
Looks like the exact same follow-up. Oz playing similarly to last game as well. Again, we're boxing study out very early, of course. Early observers are very essential. If you want to play a standard PvT game, you want to get out those observers to identify if the Terran is, you know, going for the draw play. If he's going for a big bio bust, fast third, fast upgrades, you have to be ready to react to all those.
Nice round there by Oz, able to take down that Reaper. Otherwise, that would have been a consistent annoyance for him. But Demuslim did get the scouting information there, so he also killed another probe, which, as far as I'm concerned, is totally worthwhile. Now he's going for that Widowmine. We're probably going to see exactly the same drop play from him. The question is, will Oz actually be ready for it? Will he be able to respond better than he did last time?
So far, Oz looks to have a similar composition, getting to one stock route and then following it up with sentry production out of his gateway. Again, getting the observers so we can tell which direction those drops may be coming from. The stalker's on the outside, though. It's really a tough choice because you want to keep that stalk route so you see what Terran's sending at you. But then also, you know, on the drop defense, every additional unit can really make a big difference.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it really comes down to seconds, doesn't it? It's a split-second decision, split-second micro, as it makes a huge difference between the drop doing nothing at all and the drop doing huge amounts of damage. And we will find out what's going to happen here. The Mothership Core is in a good position. So he's thinking, right, drop could be coming. This is about the right time. This is when I would expect it to come. Medevac's about to finish. Drop will hit usually anywhere between 8 minutes to 8:30 on the main. So do I have what I need to actually defend against it? He does have that pylon there, which is, it's a little bit, it will see maybe a fraction of a second earlier, but I don't know. I think this will still hurt a lot if Oz isn't prepared for it, and I don't see any sign that he is.
He's trying a different technique. In the last game, he had the Stalker and Sentries in a natural, in the Mothership Core, or sorry, in the main, his Mothership Core is in a natural. This time he switched it up with the Sentries and Stalker in a natural. So I think he feels the Mothership Core will be a better defense, but we'll have to see how effective it is as the Muslim's coming in right now.
Yeah, I don't know if it will be, and obviously the cannon will certainly help. Oh, Demuslim is a sneaky individual. He only put down one Widow Mine, knowing that his opponent would use that Photon Overcharge. There is now no Photon Overcharge left, and that Medevac still has both a Widow Mine and 4 Marines in it.
It does. Of course, the Widow Mine even got a probe kill as well. The one dropped in the main. Now he's coming to the natural. Another Widow Mine drops out. Marines trying to tank the damage. Widow Mine's being focused.
Oh, it goes down before it fires. The lock-on time of the Widow Mine is unfortunately slightly too long, and now that was a nice defense there by Oz. That could have been so terrible for him, and he absolutely shut that down.
He did. I was actually... he cut that really close. The Widow Mine could have taken out one of the sentries along with probes, damage other units that the Marines could have finished off, but he knows those timings better than I do. He had no fear there focusing that down.
Yeah, that was so gutsy by him, and... We've actually learned quite a lot about the Widow Mine's behavior in the last week and the way that the Widow Mine's lock-on actually loses. And it is strange. I mean, there are situations where 2 Widow Mines deployed in close proximity versus a fast-moving unit will only one of them will trigger, because they actually lock on in sequence. That's the way the AI works. But if you directly control them, they will actually trigger slightly faster. So it seems to me that there might be some ways for Terran players to micro Widow Mines and actually have them bypass that lock-on time just a little bit quicker. Maybe that's something that we might see later on. And it's so cool to see those micro possibilities in this game.
It is. That's really what makes the game so fun to watch and what separates the players who really dedicate themselves to this game versus the casuals. Trying to do some damage is the Muslim, but actually importantly, he has fully identified the exact build, seen the Colossus out. I believe he saw the double forges earlier. Actually, I don't think he ever got quite that far back.
Yeah, he didn't see the double forges. They are pretty far back, but I think he can assume that that's probably what's coming. It's a very similar build to what he saw in Game 2, and we need to see similar reactions from him. The thing is, he sees the Colossus coming out, and he's thinking, well, what if this isn't with forges? What if it's an earlier Colossus timing, and what if I've got to be prepared to deal with that? And that's what he's setting up for here, getting a Widow Mine in position and getting some Vikings out. It's a small push here from Oz. It's not really going to do a lot, I don't think. And hopefully he doesn't overcommit. Maybe he's just looking to see if there's a third base there. The infamous scouting Widow Mine is taken out very, very quickly, and the army for Oz is now backing off.
It is. The Muslims approaching that point of game when he's going to work on a 2-2 upgrades and start adding in the Hellbast into his army. But looks like he's pulling some SCVs. I think he wants to deny the third base from Oz here. He feels Oz may be overextending with that attack. And actually, if Oz gets caught in the open against this army... This
could be disastrous right here for Oz. He's got to get back to his third base. Yeah, he's getting back to the third base here. All those SCVs off the line. I mean, it's not an all-in, but it's damn close to one. And let's see how it goes. The force fields are exactly what you would have expected. Immediately, Demuslim tries to evacuate, pulls them back with the Medevacs. Nice move there. There's still plenty of SCVs in this composition buffering. A Viking gets taken out. Both the Colossi are still alive. And so far, this has not done what Demuslim was hoping for.
Yeah, it really wasn't. I was surprised by the SCV pull. I mean, he was working on 2-2, or he could have started 2-2 upgrades. But I think he was hoping Oz would be too greedy, but with Photon Overcharge helping out to snipe down those Vikings with the great range, and then the sentry count of Oz. I mean, he had 5 sentries in the composition. Really ideal to defend a ramp like that.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that he continued. Maybe if he, as you said, if he caught the army in the center of the map, that could have been game right there, but he didn't, and he tried to push up that third. And that ramp might as well be a graveyard. Everything that pushes up there takes so much damage. It's one of the most dangerous positions on this map. And he thought he could make it happen, and he wasn't able to. In the meantime, a small Zealot run by makes its way onto the third base, forcing an entire SCV pull and actually killing a couple as well, delaying the gas as well. So nice little maneuver there by Oz, and that allows Oz to extend his lead here, having successfully defended his third base. And there are, annoyingly enough, so many proxy pylons all over the map that Demuslim has to be worried about attacks coming from all angles here.
He does, and that's the last thing he wants to worry about. He's already behind from pulling all those SCVs in, basically just throwing away some units. Oz actually has a supply lead, and Oz has an upgrade advantage, 2-2 to 1-1. A lot of sentries in the composition. The Muslim takes out that Observer, though. That Observer is very key for spotting where the Vikings are, so the Stalkers know where they need to blink to.
Very true. Okay, here it is. The defense of the third base. Can Demuslim actually make that happen? Well, if Oz just runs away, possibly, but he used that as a distraction to make a massive Zealot run by into the natural, which is now gradually getting cleaned up here, but split up Demuslim's forces actually forced him to lift his command center and take it out of the way. The response there from Demuslim obviously was pretty extreme, but it needed to be, and the CC is down. Nicely done. Oz gets the last salvo off as he moves to safety. That is disastrous. And Demuslim, I think, is pulling SCVs again here. He needs to win against this army right now.
Yeah, Demuslim is so far behind in economy after losing that third base, but if he can trap this army and get a favorable engagement, that could be his way back into this game, but he cannot let this army get back and let Oz get in a defensive position. If Oz can keep this army alive until he gets stormed, he'll be in a great position, but looks like there might be engagement here. Demuslim needs a win.
He does. He's sending a couple of SCVs at the front here, and here it comes. That's a lot of firepower being inflicted to start with here. Demuslim bringing more SCVs into play. The force fields are really, really good, though. Will that be enough at the front for the Protoss player? The answer is no. Demuslim is able to smash that. He's bringing in more reinforcements. The Colossus still aren't dead. The Vikings are getting taken down, and it looks like Oz with those reinforcements is able to hold, and Demuslim took a huge hit. And considering he just threw away over 40 SCVs, this is a situation where it's now impossible to come back.
It pretty much is. The Muslim's going to try one last charge here. And Oz actually has no force fields, no stalkers. The Colossi are being focused down by the Vikings. The Muslim kiting very well with his bio. He's starting to make a comeback.
So heroic from Demuslim, and he takes down all of those Colossus as well, but unfortunately the reinforcements from Oz, with the economy and the number of gateways he's on, will destroy this army. There's no question about that. Demuslim putting on a defiant effort, killing the last Colossus just out of spite, more so than anything else here, and almost gets the mothership core as well, which would have been wonderful. Oz actually lost a huge amount there, but at the end of the day, why does he care? He's building a fourth base. His bases are completely uncontested right now. Demuslim just... he doesn't have the production or the money to keep up with what Oz is currently throwing at him, and he knows it. There's the GG. And Demuslim's reign of terror in the winner's bracket ends here as he falls to the loser's bracket, and his teammate Oz takes the victory and advances.
He does, of course. So far, a lot of the Koreans have been playing very well in this North American qualifiers. Jaedong did fall to the lower bracket. I can't remember exactly who he lost to. So there have been some upsets. Demuslim tried to get a second one there, took one map very convincingly, but did fall down to Oz. That wraps up this series, but we're going to have some more content for you guys in just a few minutes. I don't know the exact next matchup. I can't read it over there on the computer. But it'll be coming up to you guys very soon, just after a short break.